Welcome to Unit 1 in our course on Good Agricultural Practices. In this unit, you will learn the background to food safety, how it all started, what is food safety, and the importance of food safety for our health.
You may ask, how did it all start? The response to this question would be globalization. Globalization is the increase in the movement of finance, inputs, output, information, and science across vast geographic areas. In many places, the gains from globalization increase net income, help to decrease the levels of poverty, and may increase levels of food security. This slide shows how globalization influences food safety. Let's put it into context. As countries' economies expanded, the world moved towards globalization with the creation of global food markets demanding increased access to varieties of food. The establishment of the World Trade Organization, WTO, and the signing of non-tariff agreements led to the fall of barriers to the free flow of trade and opportunities for all countries to benefit from greater access to world markets. This global movement of food also had a negative side as it resulted in the global spread of contaminants and diseases that had entered the food chain and led to greater risk to human health, adverse economic impacts in terms of product destruction, market losses, and decreased availability of food due to some being contaminated. As a result, food quality and safety became even more important, and governments recognized their role in protecting the health and safety of their populations. Governments began imposing strict requirements relating to pesticide residues, contaminants, microbiological parameters, pests, diseases, labeling, and regulations to prevent food frauds. To prevent governments from misusing the standards, rules and disciplines were laid down by the WTO in terms of non-tariff agreements, the sanitary and phytosanitary measures, and the technical barriers to trade. In addition, the private sector also imposed standards for their own procurements, such as the British Retail Consortium and Global Gap. What is food safety? Food safety is an assurance that food will not cause harm to the consumer when it is prepared or eaten according to its intended use. In the case of fresh fruits and vegetables, it is very important that there is no harm or adverse health effects, including physical injury, as a result of consuming the foods, even in their fresh state, as these are often eaten raw. Food safety is gaining importance. There is an increased importance to understanding food safety concerns as it contributes to improved nutrition and health status of the population, thereby increasing productivity and livelihoods. Addressing food safety reduces food losses and waste, which results in increased food availability, stability, and utilization. It increases national and international market access, as well as has economic implications that protect the socio-economic environment. Major food safety concerns. Consumers are concerned about obtaining safe food, and they have the right to demand it. You may ask, when it comes to food, what is there to be concerned about? Well, when the majority of your food is imported from across the globe, as is the case in the Bahamas, the reality is that there is a whole lot to be concerned about, such as residues and contaminants, pathogens and spoilage, plant or animal pests and diseases, technology issues, physical contaminants, persistent organic pollutants, food allergens, labeling and claims, and food fraud. To help put this into perspective, Pause the video and take a minute to review the case study presented on E. coli concerns in North Andros. The link is provided for your review, as well as the links for additional case studies. Food chain approach. Here is a simple image of the food supply chain. To address food safety concerns, certain approaches have been recognized. Emphasis on the food chain approach is important as food safety hazards can arise at various stages of the food chain and need to be prevented or eliminated at each stage. The preventative risk-based approach is recommended. This approach is followed rather than being a response to mitigating a food safety concern, allowing us to be proactive rather than reactive. This approach aims at implementing practices that prevent the entry of hazards into the food chain, as once the hazards enter the food chain, it may be difficult to remove them. It is important, therefore, to implement good practices such as good manufacturing practices, GAP, hazard analysis and critical control points, and food safety management system. The basic good practices are the foundation of food safety across the food chain. Who is responsible for ensuring food safety? It is important to recognize that each and every actor in the food chain is responsible for specific activities under his control, starting with the farmer, who being at the first stage in the food chain has responsibility for implementing GAP, including maintaining records accurately. The processor is responsible for ensuring the production of safe food, engaging in proactive dialogue with regulatory bodies to agree on standards, and ensuring efficient and effective integration of industry and official food control systems, as well as upgrading his facility to maintain hygiene, design the system, and implement it, including maintaining documents and records. The handlers, including transporters and storage operators, have responsibility for maintaining the conditions necessary for ensuring safety and suitability. The government has a major role in both creating an enabling environment by creating policies, legislations, and institutional frameworks that are favorable to stakeholders and ensuring implementation of regulations by different actors in the areas under their control. Finally, the consumer is fully important as he needs to both demand a safe product as well as follow directions for storage, use, and pay attention to the best before date on the product label. Therefore, to achieve food safety, the role of each and every stakeholder is absolutely essential. Effective food control. Effective food control requires a combination of measures to be taken. As mentioned, the food chain approach with each actor taking responsibility for their role is a preventative measure. Food safety is further strengthened with a sound national food control and regulatory systems that include a standards and conformity assessment. Basic components of a food control system to ensure food safety in fruits and vegetables include legislative framework, controls and procedures, facilities and equipment, laboratories, transportation and communication, and last but not least, personnel and training.
Be sure to watch Unit 2 of this course, Introduction to Good Agricultural Practices and Standards.